interesting you say that, Glimmer, because this story that I'm about to share is not getting enough information. This was not the first person that ICE actually murdered. There was a murder on New Year's Eve, actually.
Here tonight, you can take a look at the memorial that they left behind, all the candles and the signs and flowers, some now calling for an
No, I'm not from Minneapolis.
investigation. Say his name! Say his name! Grief and anger filling a Northridge street at a vigil for 43-year-old Keith Porter.
He was a great black man. He was a girl dad.
Described as a father with 2 kids, Porter is accused of firing AR-15 bullets in the air outside this apartment last week to celebrate the new year before he was shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent.
His only mistake was thinking that he was free enough to do it here. And to the people that think it was a stupid act, it's the same stupid act that many of us have done time and time again. New Year's Eve celebratory.
This is not someone who was out to harm anyone.
But according to an LAPD report, the off-duty agent heard gunshots, confronted Porter, identified himself as law enforcement, and claims Porter shot towards him, prompting the agent to fire back, killing Porter.
Police lie, and it's disgusting the way in which they assassinate black life.
Claiming that he had an AR-15 and was shooting bullets up in the air.
It's not the smartest thing to do if that is the case, but regardless, is that punishable by death? I don't think so. I think, we have due process in this country.
So if you could spread his name, Keith Porter, I don't think a lot of people know this happened because this was an off-duty ICE officer, but he leaves behind 2 daughters, and this is him. Keith Porter, a 43-year-old father of 2, was fatally shot by an off-duty ICE agent on New Year's Eve 2025 at an apartment complex in Northridge, Los Angeles. The Department of Homeland Security has characterized the incident as, quote, active shooter situation. According to DHS officials, the unidentified agent heard multiple gunshots and went outside to investigate, where he encountered Porter armed with an AR-style rifle. They claim Porter fired at least 3 rounds at the agent after refusing commands to drop the weapon, prompting the agent to return fire in self-defense. No injuries were reported for the officer. I think even if you don't live in the United States, I still think it's important for people to know, because right now people only know about Renee Good, understandably so, because of the video of her being killed by ICE. But I still think that this man's memory, people need to know about him, and there needs to be justice for him as well. So even if you don't live in the States, just letting people know, like, this is actually the second time this has happened. In contrast, Porter's family and activists were from Black Lives Matter. Los Angeles have challenged the official narrative during a candlelight vigil held on January 4th, 2026. Relatives contended that Porter was merely firing celebratory shots into the air to ring in the new year and posed no threat to others. Family members have criticized the agent's decision to confront Porter while off duty, arguing that protocol dictates calling 911 rather than engaging in a shootout. That is correct. BLM co-founder Melina Abdullah has called for the agent's arrest, describing the shooting as a murder. I would agree. The Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, is currently investigating the incident but has yet to interview the ICE agent due to specific protocols governing investigations of federal officers. So he gets to kill someone, but they still have not talked to him because of protocol. BLM leaders were scheduled to meet with the Los Angeles County District Attorney on Monday, January 5th, to demand an independent investigation and accountability. As of today, January 6th, no arrests have been made, and the investigation into the use of deadly force remains ongoing. So this is him, and this is him and his daughters, I'm guessing. So sad, 43 years old. That's the thing. like, I don't care if you're an off-duty cop. You still have to call 911. Like, hello? And on top of that, ICE officers aren't even cops. They're ICE agents, Gestapo, in my opinion. And that's not what they're there for. ICE is supposed to apprehend illegal immigrants. I'm doing it in air quotes because they're just arresting everyone that's black or brown. But the point is that it's really significant that this person felt that they had so much power to murder a man in cold blood because they could. ICE is not supposed to fire on someone ever. And that person was not in danger. That ICE agent was not in danger. They just lived there. They left their home to go initiate their fucking power trip. And instead of just calling 911 and Keith Porter just getting arrested or a citation, I don't know really how the law works, he would probably be alive today. Because the people who shoot guns to celebrate New Year's Eve all the time. Like, that's not a new thing. That's a thing that's always happens. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. Like, I think it's fucking stupid. But it's not a new thing. And also, I think it's really important because we don't know who these ICE officers are. They don't identify themselves ever. And when they do, it's how do you believe them? They don't have badges. They don't have uniforms. And people have been saying that they're ICE and they're actual criminals and have been kidnapping, raping, and robbing people because they're pretending to be ICE because they can get away with not wearing a mask, with wearing a mask. So I think it's really significant that this is not being talked about. I think it's significant because it's just like, he says that post didn't say he identified himself. And the thing is, let's be real, even if he did, would you believe that person? A masked figure comes at you and says, put the gun down while they have a gun? That's terrifying. And we don't even know if that's what actually happened. This is another article I found. It talked about how he did identify, like the agent identified himself. And I'm like, okay, but like, you're telling me that this person identified themselves and we're supposed to listen to them, identify them, but they're wearing a mask probably and they don't have a badge and they're the only ones there. That's scary. At least I think so. Okay. When Adrian Meteor first heard government officials describing his best friend as an active shooter and a threat to his community, he was furious. Keith Porter Jr. was a lot of things, a jack of all trades who worked dozens of jobs, a proud girl dad to his daughters, an avid fisherman, a diehard San Francisco 49ers fan, and a performer who loved, to drive a room to laughter with his goofy antics, friends and family and relatives said. But they contend Porter wasn't the threat Trump administration officials claimed he was after an off-duty U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent shot and killed him in Northridge on New Year's Eve. That is far from the truth. I can't even fathom that idea of him being looked at in a negative light, calling the officer a hero before any investigation had been conducted. This is ridiculous, Meteor said, 45. In the week that has passed since Porter's death, his loved ones and community activists have rejected the narrative offered by federal officials to explain his killing, acknowledging he may have been armed, but maintaining he was only celebrating the new year, not trying to shoot anyone. The use of deadly force by immigration agents was back in the national spotlight on Wednesday after an ICE officer shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis and drew condemnation from the city's mayor, who called the incident reckless. In a statement issued last week, Tricia McLaughlin, chief spokeswoman for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, claimed Porter was suspected to be an active shooter and said he was killed following an exchange of gunfire with an off-duty ICE agent at the Village Point Apartments on Roscoe Boulevard. McLaughlin said the brave officer, who has not been identified, lived at the apartment complex and was protecting his community. Oh my gosh, I'm reading it and not showing it. I apologize. He reported the incident to authorities after it happened, she said. After it happened. Instead of calling 911 immediately, he reported it after it happened. McLaughlin did not respond to a detailed list of questions from the Times this week. In a statement, the Los Angeles Police Department declined to name Porter or provide any further details, except to confirm that a gun was recovered at the scene. Okay, but like, yet again, they need to have that ICE agent's gun. They need to test that ICE agent's gun for evidence. Like, what are we doing? Early news reports after the incident said that Porter was firing an assault-style rifle. A law enforcement official speaking on the condition of anonymity, I can never say that word correctly, in order to discuss an active case, confirmed that detail to the Times this week. Porter's loved ones and advocates said they believe he was ringing in the new year by firing a gun into the air, an illegal and dangerous LA practice that city officials discourage because the falling bullets can hit bystanders. See, it's a thing. Like, it's a thing. It's a thing that's done. It's not like a thing. Firing a gun into the air in the city can bring felony charges, but Jamal Tucson, an attorney for Porter's family, said at a news conference earlier this week that the ICE agent overreacted. I agree. Like, a felony charges, the man is still alive. That's the difference. A felony charge is a charge, but the man is still alive. What should have been an arrest and possible citation has turned into a death sentence, a potentially cold-blooded murder from an ICE agent who was not equipped to handle the situation, Tucson said. Tucson claims several people at the apartment complex were firing guns in the air, and only one was murdered. Huh. Interesting. The shooting happened around 10:40 p.m., according to LAPD, long before fireworks and gunshots marked midnight around the city on New Year's Eve. Tucson did not dispute that his client was in possession of a rifle. On Wednesday, he said he'd interviewed several witnesses at the scene, including one person who heard someone demanding that Porter put down the rifle more than once. I have to go. I'll be honest, I'm scared for U.S. citizens. I hope that if you live in the U.S., you're safe. You're safe. I don't know, you're safe. Thank you for joining. I stream almost every day. That's my stream schedule. I try to stream almost every day, but I appreciate you stopping in. Welcome. Hi. Tucson said that witness then described hearing 3 shots fired, which ended the conflict. At no point did that person hear anyone identify themselves as law enforcement, according to Tucson. Okay, why is the lawyer doing the LAPD's job? I mean, that's not surprising, but still. Tucson said he did not believe there was any exchange of gunfire between Porter and the agent. Clarity on how the shooting transpired may not come anytime soon. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office is reviewing Porter's killing, though it sometimes takes years for the agency to determine if a deadly use of force constitutes a crime. Although city policies require the LAPD to identify officers in a serious use of force cases, there is nothing that would compel the Department of Homeland Security, the federal agency that includes ICE, to do so. And I think that's fucking bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. And this is why ICE needs to be abolished. Since the officer was off duty, there is no body camera footage. None of the building's security cameras captured the shooting either, according to a message from the property management company. So the man claims he's ICE, off duty, isn't wearing a body cam because ICE doesn't wear body cam, and yet he gets to kill someone and gets away with it. That's what I'm kind of reading between the lines on this one. The Times reviewed a video filmed by a neighbor that showed LAPD units responding to the scene after Porter had been shot, lights flashing on their squad cars. One officer can be heard calling out, "Come out or shelter in place." Several residents who lived in units closest to the scene of the shooting said last week they didn't witness the fatal incident, though one woman said several rounds struck her home. An LAPD official said it was expected to take days before detectives would be able to interview the ICE agent responsible for Porter's death. An LAPD officer who was involved in an off-duty shooting would be compelled to speak with investigators under threat of discipline. But the department has no such leverage over a federal agent. That's fucking insane. That's not acceptable whatsoever. Caleb Mason, a former federal prosecutor who is now a partner with Worksman, Jackson, and Quinn in Los Angeles, said the local investigators are limited in this case and do not have the ability to compel a federal agent to answer questions, nor to grant some kind of immunity. Is this man's family ever going to get justice? They could convene a grand jury and subpoena the person to come to the grand jury. The person could then invoke their Fifth Amendment rights, Mason said. Houston said the shooting was a microcosm of federal law enforcement under the Trump administration, overstepping boundaries and in many instances using deadly force when it was not required. Other recent instances in which ICE and Border Patrol agents claimed they used force in self-defense have come under withering scrutiny. On Wednesday in Minneapolis, an ICE officer shot and killed a 37-year-old woman. Federal officials said the officer opened fire on her car after she attempted to run over agents in an act of domestic terrorism. Video circulating online showed the woman seemingly attempting to drive away as one masked agent is seen trying to open the vehicle's door while another blocks her path. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey told reporters he had reviewed footage of the incident, which led him to believe the, quote, "the narrative that this was done in self-defense is a garbage narrative." In October, federal officials insisted an ICE agent opened fire in fear for his life after a popular TikTok streamer tried to ram agents attempting to arrest him in South LA. Assault charges against the man, Carlitos Ricardo Parias, were recently dismissed by a judge. Video obtained by the Times last month shows Parias with his hands up at the moment the agent's gun goes off. Both Parias and a deputy U.S. Marshal were injured by the ICE agent's gunfire. Yeah, because ICE, they're not fucking trained. They're psychos. A Time analysis also found nearly a third of all cases involving an alleged assault against a federal officer in Los Angeles the last year ended with prosecutors dropping charges or losing at trial. Matteo has been friends with Porter for nearly 30 years. So the pair grew up in Compton, where ringing in the new year with celebratory fire was common. That's heartbreaking. He said his friend had become interested in guns in recent years and was excited that he'd recently gotten the necessary paperwork under state law by obtaining a fire safety certificate. Within the last couple of years, he was super anxious and excited because he ended up getting his permit, Medior said. He felt like it was a badge of expression to be able to own a firearm. Porter's mother, Francola Armstrong, said her son meant no harm. He was not a threat. Anyone who comes in contact with my baby has nothing to say but love, she said. That's the mom. Armstrong said she and her son were incredibly close, living together until about a year ago. Relatives said Porter moved to the San Fernando Valley to be closer to his girlfriend. Porter worked a plethora of jobs. Medior said he was a waiter, a tow truck driver, and an aide to students with special needs. He tried to complete Compton Fire Academy and recently got a job at a nearby Home Depot in Northridge. Whatever job he took, his friends said, Porter had an eye toward a better life for his two daughters, who are 10 and 20. We had gotten together for games and drinks and stuff, and at the end of the night, we had a serious heart-to-heart about him getting ready to move out here and his priorities. Disney, Tyler, a distant relative, said at a vigil last week. Medior said he and Porter first met at Verbum Dei High School, an all-boys Catholic institute in Watts, where they bonded over a shared love of football and basketball. He was a performer. He would always go out the way to make people laugh, Medior said. He was a very, very kind person, gracious, compassionate, loyal, understanding. He was younger than me, so I felt like I had to look out for him because he was my little brother. Tamar Sedri, Meteor's partner, said the shooting was especially painful because of everything Porter had overcome in his life. Sedri said Porter's father was heavily involved with Compton's gangs, but his mother worked tirelessly to help her son avoid that lifestyle, only for his life to end in gunfire anyway. That's so fucking sad. That's what is really heartbreaking about all of this. She said, you can try to fly straight and get an apartment and move out of the hood, and you still find yourself in this situation. So spread the news about him, Keith Porter. May he rest in peace. And may he get the justice that he rightfully deserves. So sad.